you are about to listen to is me, Pastor Michael Bowman, as I think out loud about and try to apply the scripture to anything and everything that comes to mind. This usually happens in my car, so jump in and let's talk. I was in a conversation a few months back with a couple other young men around my age, and we were talking about how almost everyone we know in our age range has become woke, has gotten on the social justice train. And we were talking about why we think it was that we didn't go that direction, because we hadn't. And we were trying to figure out what it was that maybe we had in common that could be traced back to as something that would keep us from going down that road. Now, obviously, we were all Christians, and we talked about how we hope that, part of that was just reading the scripture and being guided by the Spirit. But we know many professing believers who have gotten on that bandwagon. So what is it that kept us from that position? And one of the things that we thought it could have been is the fact that none of us went to a traditional 4-year college. Now, I was the closest thing of the group to having done that. I did go to university, but I went to Trinity International University, and then Trinity Evangelical Divinity School. But even there, I didn't go until I was 2021, my freshman year. I only did 2 years in the undergraduate program, and I had already established other parts of my life and had begun personal study and learning before ever going to college. I learned a lot. I was taught a lot of how to study more in depth and how to read better and how to write better. But I was not as engaged in the kind of social formation of the university as most college students are. And so we just thought maybe this is why. Maybe one of the reasons that we have not gotten on the woke train is because we did not have a traditional 4-year education. And that should be troubling to a lot of us, those of us who are concerned about this movement and the deceptions that are a part of it. Now, I know there are many well-meaning people who believe that they are following the truth when they are following some of this stuff, but we don't believe that. At least me and this group that I was with do not believe that that's actually the case. And so that should be a troubling idea, that we're in this position where most of education is worldly propaganda. And this just brings up the reality that all education is discipleship. All education is discipleship. When you are educating your children, when they're being educated, they're being discipled. And so the question is, who's discipling them? I would hope that most people, by the time they get to college, have learned some self-sufficiency and independence of thought. But the reality today is that most people don't. That's not typical. Most of the typical education system, for sure the public education system, because this was from its at least modern inception, the public education system was created for this purpose. But even in many private school situations, you have basically the creation of dependent people. The system is such that it teaches kids to be dependent instead of trying to think for yourself a little bit, give you the tools that you need in order to learn, the framework to build upon, right? That the foundation that you need, and then going from there and teaching you how to learn and grow from there. Instead, we're in a situation where the typical education system, K through 12, is just teaching kids dependence, right? Regurgitate what you are told, right? Fill out this standardized test. Not that all standardized testing is bad, but everything is just repeat after me. Put this down. How many people can you talk to right now who would say they learned almost nothing in school except how to just quickly repeat what they were taught or what they read onto this test or into this paper and then completely forget about it? So what is that teaching? Well, that's teaching dependence, right? In order to get through, you just have to conform and depend upon the authority that tells you what to believe. Now, that's an important feature in kindergarten, right, and first grade, and moving on up, that should be lessened more and more and more as kids are educated and taught how to be thoughtful on their own, how to think for themselves, how to grow some independence. That's in part what it means to be an adult. However, we're in a situation where childhood is being expanded so that it encompasses far, far more of your life. And if that's true, when that happens, what you have to do is you also then have to extend the dependence. And so now you have most kids getting into a 4-year university, not as adults, right? But they're just kids. They're just a little bit bigger, but they're just kids. And they are continuing in that dependence. And what they're indoctrinated with is then going to stick with them most of their life. This is the other thing. Just education is indoctrination, and that's not a bad thing, right? You want kids to be indoctrinated with what is true, though. It is bad when what is being indoctrinated, what is being taught to them, and what they're being filled with are false ideas. When you are indoctrinated with an ungodly, worldly, unbiblical worldview, one that teaches you to covet, to despise your neighbor, one that teaches you complete dependence upon the system, one that teaches you that there is no God, everything is simply material, chemical, physical. When you're indoctrinated with these ideas, it's extremely detrimental. When you're indoctrinated with biblical ideas, though, truths about who God is, who we are, what He's made us for, that is not a bad thing. And what's happening is many people from the youngest ages are being indoctrinated with this social justice, woke worldview. And it's sticking with them because that's how discipleship works. That's how education works. This is the Roman Catholic, especially Jesuit missionaries after the Reformation during during the time of the Counter-Reformation. They had a saying that said, "Give us a child until he is 7, and we'll make him a Roman Catholic for life." And it basically worked. The Reformation was set to take over the vast majority of Northern Europe, and that was significantly hampered and slowed when these Roman Catholic schools began to be planted by Jesuit missionaries all over Europe. And so I can't help but think that this is really why. You have a bunch of people that have been taught dependence upon the system, right? But believe what the government, what large multinational corporations, and what pop culture is teaching you. And all of these are teaching the same thing, right? All of them are bending in the same direction. And so, of course, if you've been taught dependence upon that system, if you've been taught that this is where you look to get your final answers, to get truth, well, then what you are going to do is you are going to bend in the same direction. You're going to lean the same way.
Hey guys, I hope this has been helpful for you. If it has been, go ahead and rate it, review it, or share it with a friend, especially if you're in La Crosse, Wisconsin, or the surrounding areas. That helps me expand the audience and hopefully increase the impact of these ideas. If you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns on anything that I just talked about, you can reach me at pastormichaeljbowman@gmail.com. You can find more content from me, as well as information about the church that I pastor at ccc-pca.org. With that, I hope you can enjoy the many blessings of God today. Until next time.